Of course.
It was like, but Roy's going to be closing by himself, so you get from DFAS right outside to bring the food.
But I
was
love
like,
work.
I'm not going home for 5 minutes because I will not leave again.
Right.
They start demo.
Yeah, well, even before, well, before that.
Yeah.
Because the guy.
There she is.
He. Temporary. That's the
Great thing about being at a house,
That
you never have to fight for
Yeah.
always ready for it.
There was like 5 of them.
Yeah.
And again, it was more of just like, we're applying for money. There was no,
Right.
if we were gonna get it. Yeah, we are very aware of that.
All right.
There's, yeah.
Okay.
quite a
What's that?
I appreciate you.
overhead and right next
Well,
door.
in case we have questions, in case somebody has questions. My pen is frozen.
Side Jan.
Because I had to dig through my land.
I do that too. And if my kids don't steal them, I know where they are.
Is that in your packet? The very
Nope, I don't have that one.
It might be in a little packet. No extra copies.
Yes, it is. You can take that
Okay.
back, you can keep those.
Okay, good.
This might be a bigger rooms like that. Most meetings, they don't ask for there.
Is it just Andrea that has this thing? Yeah, I think so.
I don't know if this one is. Because it's a public hearing.
Oh, it's got mice on it. Oh, there we go. There you go. That's why. I don't need this. I can share this.
That's why it's
That's
right.
why it's there. Yeah. Do you need an agenda? Did you get one? Yep, there you go. You can have that one. That's good. Okay.
That is somebody's.
I
was afraid of that.
do.
It's got all my secret notes. Well, are you?
Good, good.
Okay.
Ready?
I think we're ready.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. We're going to call this meeting of the Caribou Riverfront Renaissance Committee to order. It's January 30th, about 6 p.m. We do have a quorum. I do have to request this, see if anyone needs to disclose any conflicts of interest. I don't believe we have any. No. Okay. So the first item on the agenda is to approve the minutes of the September 12th, 2023 meeting. We haven't met in a while. But we got a chance.
Yeah, I'll move to approve the minutes of the last meeting.
I'll second.
Moved by Dave. Okay. And seconded. Any discussion, errors, omissions?
Nope.
Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Carried. Okay.
Who did the motion and second?
Dave
Dave and Amy.
yeah, Christine. So, next item on the agenda tonight is to hold a public hearing on the diesel plant project that's being administered by the county environmental engineers. And so with that, I will open the public hearing at 6:04 p.m. and I'll turn it over to Michelle.
Would you like me to go?
Yes, so we can hear you, and just make sure that microphone is on. Does everybody have their little green light on their?
No.
Yeah. Yep.
Where's the switch?
Right on
On the top.
Oh, I see.
Okay, so I just wanted to thank everyone so much for coming out today. The reason we are here for myself is to present publicly the brownfields analysis of brownfields cleanup alternatives. We generally just call it ABCA. So it's if I use that acronym, that's what it stands for. If anyone needs a hard copy of it, I have extra copies. So basically, whenever brownfields dollars are used to clean up a property, we have to evaluate the alternatives for cleanup. For the diesel plant, and you had mentioned on the back of the ABCA, you'll see a little diagram, the site diagram here, The red area is what we're calling, which is our site, and so it's just the diesel plant and the outbuildings. You'll notice it goes right around the steam plant, so the steam plant is not part of this analysis of brownfields cleanup alternatives. So the site itself is like I said, it's got the diesel plant. If anyone needs a little bit of history on the diesel plant or the steam plant, anything like that, there's a little bit of information on the history of the property. But essentially, the issues are, the environmental issues at the diesel plant and outbuildings are residual oils that were left behind. That also includes things like universal waste, like mercury switches, things that have mercury or lead or PCBs or things like that. The other thing is asbestos, okay? So the alternatives that were evaluated are essentially do nothing or remove it. So obviously it's kind of very, it's a natural conclusion that if we are to clean up this property, the best way is to remove the oils, remove the universal waste, and properly handle it, transport, disposal, everything, all with the hazardous waste transporters, everything like that. And then the asbestos will be abated by a licensed abatement contractor. We have asbestos roofing on the diesel plant. We also have asbestos roofing on the pump house. Those two buildings, because of the asbestos on the roofing, would require demolition of the buildings because we can't just remove the roof and have just the wall is also getting to be in very poor condition as well. So the diesel plant and the pump house will have some demolition, have total demolition for those. Some of the outbuildings do have some asbestos glaze around the windows. We will remove that so that basically everything that's defined as the site will be asbestos free, will be clean of oils, clean of any we do have some stored material of asbestos in one of the storage buildings. We'll get rid of everything so that those buildings can either be reused if they want to be reused or demolished outside of this project. That's really it. Are there any questions or you can certainly ask questions. Did she ask questions?
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. You might just want to come to the
Sure.
microphone, so.
Okay, I live very close to this project that's being done. I just, last week, took in 3 little beautiful children.
Okay.
I have concerns for their safety. Would any of this be airborne? Do we have to worry about any airborne particles or?
Sure. Yep. Can I?
Yep.
Can I just right
Yeah,
here?
yeah, yeah,
or
I
do you
think
want me to
I
go
think the
closer?
microphone will pick
I'm
it up,
loud
yeah.
anyway, I appreciate it. So absolutely, that's a very valid concern. And also transport. I do have the community relations plan. It's still technically in draft form. Is it okay to share a copy of the draft community relations plan? So here's that.
Okay.
And basically you'll get some notification. If you have questions at any point, you can reach out to me, you can reach out to Penny, whomever.
Okay.
And we can answer all your questions. As far as the asbestos, the asbestos roofing is what's considered non-friable. It takes actually a lot of work to release asbestos fibers from the asbestos roofing. Can we go real quick to that asbestos page?
Will it be in a tent? Will you be doing it like in a tent for protection?
No, not. My understanding is no. It will likely be a controlled demo because there's certain things that they can't do. For example, they can't use a mechanical cutter. They can't use anything that might generate a dust, like grinding, grating, anything like that. There will be no dust generated from that.
Okay.
So if we go through so the roofing is the primary thing,
Right,
right?
right.
So it's an asphaltic base, so
Yep.
it's bound right in there, so it takes a
Mhm.
lot, so there is no risk of
Okay.
releasing asbestos fibers from the roofing material
Okay.
under the proper procedures.
I
Again,
understand
not cutting
that.
it, not anything like that.
Right.
So window glazing, that will be a whole component removal.
Mm-hmm.
They'll remove that in whole. The floor tile and the mastic, again, both, basically all of this stuff is, again, the non-friable,
Okay.
not the bad stuff. Okay, I mean asbestos is.
I
all
understand,
asbestos,
I understand, I know
Yeah.
you're gonna take all precautions, and
Yeah.
on a normal basis,
Sure.
that would be sufficient for me,
Yeah.
but where I'm
With
fostering
the
these
kids.
children,
Sure.
if you can say to me that this is safe, nothing's going to happen,
Yes.
and you put that in writing to me, I'm fine with it.
Sure, I will happily,
Okay.
happily. We'll work with, it's likely
Okay.
going to be an abatement, well, it will be an abatement contractor, probably county abatement or
Okay.
a similar outfit
Okay.
like that. I would be happy to
Mhm.
share all of their protocols. Bill has some knowledge on the asbestos
Okay.
a little bit.
And the reason
A little
why
bit, yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
presenting it that way
Sure.
is I don't have a lot of knowledge in that, obviously.
Yeah.
My concerns are,
Yeah.
reading about asbestos. I mean, I
Yes.
do have that knowledge,
Yeah.
but to properly dispose and do it
Yes.
correctly,
Yes.
I don't have the knowledge of that, so it would satisfy me, just a letter
Yeah.
saying that our family's safe. Because
So-
we're close to you.
Yes.
Where you're doing the,
Absolutely. So we're still a bit away from this.
Okay.
But there is a great big community involvement part
Mhm.
of this project
Okay.
that we're gonna delve into. So the community will be heavily involved, especially the nearby
Neighbors.
area. Very,
Mhm.
like, everything we can do to reach out to you. We wanna try to put together a fact sheet. Like,
Okay.
something like, this is what we're dealing with, this is how it's gonna be removed.
Right.
This is gonna go into like lined dumpsters, you know what I mean?
Right.
It all will be containerized on site.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
all this asbestos is going to be containerized.
Yeah.
So think like a lined dumpster, and then, so maybe where you're concerned is the transport by you or.
and airborne,
Yeah.
transport and airborne.
Yeah, there should not be any airborne.
Okay.
But I understand when you think demolition, you think, things and stuff coming down and dust and all that
Yes.
kind of stuff.
Yeah.
That's not gonna be the case here.
Okay.
For anything that's asbestos containing, there's, the main DEP and OSHA and has all kinds of regulations to
Okay.
make sure that we don't make more of a problem
Okay.
by taking care of this,
Yep.
by removing it and containerizing it and then transporting it by your house.
Okay.
Like, it will be containerized.
Right,
Yeah,
right, and like I said,
Yeah.
just that letter and I'm good,
yeah.
that, makes me feel comfortable.
Sure,
Just,
yeah.
the fact that I need to stand up for the kids,
Abso-
obviously.
Absolutely,
And protect
no.
them.
The brownfields is very, very about public engagement,
Mm-hmm.
public involvement. So absolutely, we will not leave you in the dark. We're here to
Okay.
answer all your questions and keep you safe, keep the area safe, everything like that.
Okay.
Switching gears real quick to the steam plant, make sure nobody goes anywhere near the steam plant. That's a different beast altogether. right?
Okay.
And EPA is handling that. They've got their own thing that they're doing with that.
So
And
that's
we can-
separate from you guys?
It's separate from us.
Will there be a meeting
Yeah.
on that?
I'm not sure.
Because I would
Sure,
want the
either.
same kind of reassurance.
Yes.
I mean,
Well, EPA is the federal government.
Okay.
So they are very strict about how things are
okay,
done.
because I think I'm
Yeah.
getting hit on both sides. I also heard there's a project going on with the bridge too, and I'm right underneath it, so, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys know anything about it, or, no?
What's your address?
52 Lower Linden
So
Street.
you're right on Lower Linden?
Yes,
Yeah,
we're the
okay.
second house before the power plant.
Okay.
It would be us and then the Keatons, and then the power plant. So we're pretty much under the bridge, and I'm concerned about having the bridge work done too, because I think it's blasting and painting and, you know what I mean?
I'd be more concerned about that.
And a
Yeah.
contractor someone had told me that they're gonna soon be starting a big project on the bridge, not even knowing where I lived. I just happened to hear the conversation. I didn't know anything about it until I heard him say that.
That would be a DOT thing, yeah.
Okay,
That's the
well,
state.
it's somebody that must work for the state that shared it, and I happened to hear it, and I'm like, hey, I live right there, I didn't know this was going on, so.
If you're still here at the end of the meeting, I'll go up. I actually have something on my desk that's about DOT projects.
That would be great.
Yeah, so at the end of the meeting, I can run up and just see if it's on that list.
Okay, that would be great, thank you.
Yeah,
I guess
you're
that's all I have
Thanks
to
for
say.
coming out.
Thanks for your
Yeah,
comment.
like, this is why we're here. This is absolutely to hear these concerns and make sure that we will have, there will be, you know, we're still in baby steps getting to this.
Okay.
This is actually the very
I
first
was
step.
thinking it was
in this
gonna
stuff.
start this summer.
You know, maybe. We still have to hire the demolition contractor, the abatement contractor, things like that. But the very first step is the public, notifying the public.
Right.
That, you know,
Okay.
we do have funds to do this. I can be your point of contact. You can reach out to me anytime. We'll be sending out information to the neighborhood. Absolutely.
Perfect.
Absolutely. It's a
Perfect.
very big part of it. So-
Michelle, too, I mean, I'm venturing a guess here, but the structure itself is more dangerous just sitting there, I think, than, you know, like the oils being around and people,
Yes.
if they break in and,
Yes.
you know, do
But-
things,
And that's
so.
probably so. I
Yes.
agree with that. It's just the reassurance of the
Yeah.
removal of it is all I'm asking.
No, I get it,
Yeah.
totally. I
No,
wouldn't want
people-
my kids
People
playing
hear
around
asbestos,
it,
it's
yeah.
like airborne, they
Yeah.
think Libby, they think, you know, like
Yeah.
our kids and
Yeah.
all this
Trust
breathing
me,
it in.
I
and-
want it gone
yes.
too.
No, asbestos is, you breathe in an asbestos fiber, it stays with you
Well,
forever.
another
So
concern
it's-
is my husband has a serious lung problem.
Yes, yeah,
That he has no linings on his lung, very serious, he
Oh.
almost died
yeah,
when he
oh
was
my
young.
gosh,
And,
wow.
yeah,
Yeah.
so it's been ongoing.
This will be handled very, very carefully to make sure that there is an absolute, and a lot of what we're dealing with is not the friable asbestos, the stuff that's easily airborne, that kind of stuff. So all this stuff is, I know I've said it, it takes a lot, it actually takes work and effort to release the asbestos from it, from grinding it or sanding it, and
Right.
none of that will happen.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's
yeah, for
reassurance
this.
right there too.
Yes,
knowing
yep,
that.
yep. It will be either a whole component removal or very, very, so we do have, when I was saying some friable stuff, we actually do have a little bit of friable material. And
Okay.
it's the stored material.
Will that be on site?
It's inside a storage building, and
Okay.
likely what they're gonna do is overpack. It's like, they pack it right there. So basically, before anything leaves the site that's asbestos containing, it has to be containerized. It has to be overpacked or in a lime dumpster that's covered, you know, so it's,
Gotcha.
you know what I mean, it's
Yep.
contained, even if it's not, you know, the friable stuff will have, I think, I can't remember how many layers they wrap stuff in, but it's overpacked very, very carefully.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so the work on site will be done carefully, and also the transport by your house. Well, yeah, and there'll be traffic plans too, and saying that they're only gonna work between, you know, they won't start, you know, at 5 o'clock in the morning and wake your kids up, you know what I mean? It'll probably be like a 6 or a 7, and they'll stop, you know, whenever, it's really what the community decides.
Right,
So you will
right.
also be able to say, you know, I don't want it, you know, can't start before 7 because I have such and such or whatnot, but.
That's not an issue
Yeah.
for me, I'm not.
Well, the
one to
traffic
complain.
too, that's
Yeah.
it's a
Just see when
concern.
we're working on the bridge, if you want to hear noise, look,
Yeah.
we're good with this.
Yeah, no,
When they
there will be
work
a
on the
traffic
bridge.
plan, there will be all that set
Yeah,
up for this
yeah.
project, yeah. And we appreciate your concern, absolutely, yes, yeah. Any other questions?
Other questions or
Sure.
comments? From the public, from the committee?
So Michelle, these oil tanks and containers, so on this, it's the size of the tank and then the quantity that's in there, they're practically full. Like, most of them?
When we did the hazardous building material inventory, we were basing everything on a worst-case scenario.
Oh, okay.
If we didn't know the day, so some of the day tanks are like way up in the air.
Okay.
Right? So we weren't able to like knock on them and see, So a lot of this is worst-case scenario. It likely is way, way less than this that's there. But we don't know that, right? Until
Right.
we
Get in there.
get in there and start, and we've done this lots of times, so likely the cost for this part of it, this alternative of removing the oils is too high. It's higher than which is good, right? We'd rather go in
Be
at
on the
a
high
time
side, yeah.
and not need it. But
Can these be recycled at all, or is this?
the waste oil, it depends, so they have these little tests that they'll screen, and if it's not cut with solvents or PCBs, absolutely, it can be burned in a waste oil burner. So either Public Works or, however,
Gotcha.
there's a possibility for that. Likely, it will probably just be transported and dealt with by the hazardous waste
Gotcha.
transporter. Just to have the manifest, have it properly disposed of. But that's a good question, that is a possibility. There might be some permitting involved. We'd happily.
It's just
look
giving
into
me
it.
like
Yeah.
high blood pressure knowing that's right by the river and.
Yes.
Scary.
That would be
Can't
step
take
one.
it.
That's the problem.
Obviously, before any abatement or any demo, this is step one, this is without question, like, before we even have to hire anybody, county environmental can get in here and start
Looking at the thing.
consolidating, like, we'll get some totes, we consolidate it all, we get it pumped out, we get it cleaned out, and, it's what we do. So,
Perfect.
yeah, that will be step one, for sure.
You'd think there'd be a market for the diesel at least.
The diesel probably at this point, because it's so old, I don't know. I think most everything would be considered a waste oil at this point. But, yeah, and the drums, all that stuff can be either reused, right? If there's some empty drums that didn't have any PCB transformer oil in it or anything like that, there's definitely options. We'll look into reusing as much as possible. The less that goes to the landfill, the better, right? That can be recycled as scrap or whatnot,
Thank you.
so. Yeah, no problem.
So eventually,
Yeah.
everything is gonna go from that area to use the land, the big tanks by the railroad tracks?
The big tanks by the railroad tracks are not part of this project either.
No, but I mean,
Yeah.
eventually.
Hopefully, yeah, that's,
There
I
was
think, the
talk,
long-term
We wanted to
goal.
make a park down there.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Yes, yes.
But you'd have, all that stuff would have to go, all the buildings.
Yes. So this is a multi-step project. So I think we're attacking the diesel plant first because it's relatively easy to deal with compared to everything else that's we have here. The steam plant is this whole other beast. EPA is going to deal with that. Well, that's not part of this project. And the bulk plants, the bulk plant with the big tanks, I don't even know if the city has
No, it
acquired it
doesn't
yet.
own it.
Yeah, so the city doesn't even own that property yet. But there's a lot of communication, discussion on it. And, hopefully, yeah, I do believe the plan is to have some green space here. I mean, every time I'm there, there's people walking and dogs and it's a heavy community area that people.
There's another
go on.
building before
The
these
water,
ones.
it's the water plant, the old water plant.
Do you want to just step up here so they
Yeah.
can hear you on our Zoom? Because we have EPA on the Zoom, and DEP, and our University of Connecticut technical assistants to brownfields folks are all on our Zoom. And staff member Karen Gorman, and also Andrea Flannery, who's on this board. They're all on Zoom.
There is another building before.
Yeah, there's Jim, he's waving, so.
And is that part of that too?
No, it's actually not. They are, is it a?
Oh, there's Marissa.
It's the hydro plant.
Which one are, do
Before.
you have the map?
I do have the map.
I
Are
think
you
they're talking about the
Federated?
Atlantic, it's the Atlantic Salmon Building?
Oh, he's talking about the.
Atlantic Salmon?
No,
No?
before that.
Yeah. It's on your right
It used to
going
be a
in.
starch plant, right, or something, not the starch.
Fertilizer, it used to be
That old- that old building.
Agway building.
Fertilizer.
Fertilizer.
That is the salmon
Yes,
building, isn't
fertilizer.
it? The old fertilizer
Not part of
building?
this project.
That's the
You
salmon
know,
building.
yeah, Atlantic
Exactly.
Salmon from Northern Maine
I'm
owns
not
it.
sure. So the fertilizer building, I don't know if there's discussions on that or not.
They're actually, that's the salmon group. They are
They
part
own
of the
that too?
Riverfront Redevelopment. I mean, we've been talking with them a lot,
Yeah.
but that's completely, we don't own that area. They're looking to do some fisheries.
No.
So do you live down there also?
I live on Patton Street.
Oh, Patton Street,
That's why
okay.
the building I'm talking about is right behind.
Yeah,
And not to say nothing bad about the police or whatever, but there's a lot of action down there. And it's right behind our house. And 11 and 12 o'clock, you get the headlights coming in. But by the time anybody gets there, there's nobody there, they say, or...
Yeah.
And it should be condemned, actually. It's in bad shape, the building.
The traffic going down there are counselors that are going down there and meeting people that have addiction problems. That's a meeting site.
Oh, really?
So it's not people down there partying and drink, no, they're meeting and they're parking just before, well, it'd be the last building. There's a dirt road.
Yeah, yeah.
Right in the center, right there, and that's where they're meeting these people, because some people don't have homes, they're homeless. So that's a meeting site for
Oh.
counseling addicted people, so you don't have to worry about it.
Yeah.
But it's definitely something, I mean, it's a concern to you as a homeowner, right?
Yeah.
And that's definitely something, you know, building owners are supposed to secure their buildings. So it's definitely something that we can follow up on and talk to, you know, see what's going on, make sure the building's secure, people can't get in. I just dumped that on you, Penny, you're welcome.
way to be a pal.
Yeah, bestie, love you.
Prior to that, there was homeless people living down there,
Yeah.
but they took all the windows out and the doors, so it made it harder for them to stay there. And the traffic since then was just for people going down there to meet through the group. But prior to that, there was a serious issue, which
Yeah.
would have been not even more than a year ago.
Yeah. See, people don't realize that, like, my land is right on the railroad tracks.
Yeah.
And then you're talking 30, 40 feet
I hear you.
away. You can hear them talk, you can,
Mhm.
you know.
I hear you, yeah.
You're sitting outdoors, 9, 10 o'clock at night, and you're wondering, is somebody coming up from behind, or they're really not supposed to be there?
No, there was 4 or 5 that took over a building that were homeless, and they were walking back and forth by my house, so I was aware of it, but they were
Yeah.
pretty harmless, we never had a problem. But,
Yeah.
just saying, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So do we have any other comments on the ABCA? as
You
we
got
say
it,
Yeah,
ABCA.
I'm thinking
Ted
1980s
was
band here, but
Yeah, it was-
is anybody on the Zoom?
Yeah, so Ted was saying, have Michelle show the figure. I'm not sure which figure.
The
Oh,
site
project
map.
description with red outline.
Yeah.
Okay, that's it.
We did
Okay,
that,
thanks,
yeah.
Ted.
If not, anything on the Zoom?
Does anybody on Zoom want to unmute and have anything to say about the project or anything?
There, this is our site,
Yeah.
that's it, right there. It's a narrow little site.
Has MerlinOne been part of any of the discussions?
So MerlinOne owns the bulk plant, which are like.
I'm just
these
wondering
things.
if they're interested in cleanups and still see some of that stuff going on. No idea? Okay.
And I think that the folks from EPA, with regard to the CERCLA action, have been in touch with them.
Okay.
As a prior owner.
Well, if I see no other comments, we will close the public hearing at 6:29.
Thank you.
And thank you,
Thank you.
Michelle.
Yes, absolutely.
Yep.
No,
Don't-
thank you for the feedback, it's very
Yep.
good.
Yeah.
Yes, glad you're, yep. So the next item is also related to our Brownfields grant project, and that is the community outreach plan, which is in draft form. I think you folks have a copy of it. And we were looking for comments, or I'm assuming comments that or feedback from Michelle to see if.
Oh, you want me to?
Yep, Michelle, you're
Yeah, we're doing community.
too far, Michelle.
More, yeah, don't go too far. More community outreach.
Okay. Okay, so this is the community relations plan. Did you get a copy of this? Did anyone get it?
Should be right in that
Okay.
packet.
So this is a very, very draft. We just kind of wanted to, it's bare bones basics here. And a lot of it is, again, notifying the community, making sure that, I do believe there's going to be a nice sign with my number, my name, all the project managers from DEP to EPA. So if you guys have any questions, anything like that, it may not be in here, but I know that we would like to do a fact sheet, and this was kind of, you kind of brought it back to my attention that we're talking about, this is what's here, this is what we're planning to do, this is how it's going to be done, kind of Q&A type things like that. And we've actually already done that, but we're going to be notifying the community about the project dates. There was discussion about having possibly like a community picnic or a little meet and greet or anything like that, so that people can informally ask questions. That's really it. I mean, I can go through it in detail if anyone wants me to go through it in detail, or you go ahead.
That's good. The only.
So the one thing, do we have to formally adopt, like we talk about it being in draft form, does that mean that at some point we will need to formally adopt?
Just, I wanted to bring it to the committee and get committee feedback. It doesn't have to happen today. If you guys want to look at it and have some time to review it or whatnot, or get more feedback from the community. This isn't, we're not going to start anything like tomorrow. We have So, yes, the very last paragraph, you will see on that in which we're talking about the restricted areas. Just because you mentioned the children, and we do realize this is a residential area. There are children, there's people walking, like I said, there's always dogs and everything like that. So it will be clearly marked with the signs. We'll have caution tape up, everything like that. We're also going to do a health and safety plan. Again, all of this is public, okay? So on their website, did that work with the links for the community, for the APCA and all that stuff? Yep. So we're going to maintain an online resource in which it has all of the standards, our cleanup standards that we're held to. It will have the protocols, our health and safety plan, all these fun reports that we're writing. You can find all of this stuff will be available online for comment and review all the time.
And Marissa from Yukon Tab just said in the chat that Yukon Tab is also happy to help with fact sheet.
Ooh,
yes,
thank
so
you.
Great. Yeah.
Yes, that would be great to get them involved in that.
So just.
Yeah, please let us know what you need in terms of materials or anything else, the community page that we have. So yeah, we can follow up with any of that.
Perfect, thank you.
So who has the final say on, going final with this? Is
The
that
steering committee, yep. The steering committee for brownfields. DEP and EPA also have input, and we need their approval, obviously, for anything. It's DEP and EPA approval. But steering committee is kind of like our stepping stone to get to there. So even the ABCA at this, the ABCA, the brownfields analysis of cleanup alternatives is, has to have DEP and EPA approval. And this is what we had sent in, was what we had sent in for the application. Nothing has changed with it. The site is the same, everything's been the same. So, Yeah.
So this is actually on our website, and so we do have the information.
Oh, the county, okay, so it did
Yeah.
share, the share link?
Well, I'm trying to see if it will actually
Okay.
open. I think I cut you off, Mark, sorry.
No, that's fine, go ahead.
Yep.
Okay, good. So on the website, so there's a share link, and I will maintain this. It'll have, like, it has our cleanup standards, it has the ABCA, the community relations plan, or has this building, so this is the this is the this is where we first started. We did the phase 1, that was step 1. Step 2 was the phase 2, and then the hazardous building material survey. So this is where you can get a lot of information in those reports about what's there,
Right.
and what we found. So those were done with a different project, but they're the starting point for the cleanup phase.
And I know there's very strict guidelines too.
Yeah.
I realize that,
Yeah.
but it, it's just for your choice.
Yeah, it's, no, absolutely, especially as being tucked back away, and here in Aroostook County, sometimes you see things not really done the way they're supposed to be done, right? Because who comes up here and, whatever, but this will be handled very carefully.
That's reassuring.
Yes, yeah.
So, Michelle, during construction, will there be someone from county environmental engineer there all the time?
Yes.
So if somebody was in the area, or if a
Yes.
neighbor had some concerns, they would be
Yes.
able to?
Yes.
Because if not, I was just going to say then perhaps whoever the contractor is should have that knowledge and awareness of
Yeah.
who the neighbors are. The neighbors should be aware who they are, so if there's any questions
Yes.
during, not
Absolutely.
construction, I guess this isn't construction.
It is construction work.
It
Yes,
is
it's
construction type work, yeah.
So, absolutely, county will be right there. We will be heavily involved through the entire project. So there might be points in which they don't want us necessarily right there on site, but can be nearby or adjacent, right? Like, they might, oh, this is the
Yep.
work area, the restricted area. We might not be able to
Right.
have access to the restricted area, especially when it comes to abating the floor tile and mastic.
Yep.
Yes, county will be on site. We will supervise, oversight,
Yep.
records. We have to do Davis bacon wages and everything like that. So we're going to be very heavily involved.
Yep.
Yeah.
Good. Any other questions from the committee? Any input on the plan? I like it.
So there'll be another public hearing before.
My understanding,
No.
the community relations plan doesn't necessarily have to
okay.
have a public meeting. The ABCA does. The ABCA requires a public
Okay.
public meeting, 10 days notification for the public before we have the meeting, then we have the meeting, then there's a 30-day comment period. So
Okay,
actually,
that's what
at
it is.
that point is when we can consider the ABCA somewhat final, I suppose.
Gotcha.
After the 30-day public comment period, we'll touch base with DEP, EPA, you guys, make sure everyone's good with the ABCA. And because it is federal dollars, so they just want to make sure that everyone has input in how the federal dollars are spent.
Gotcha.
So, but this is a pretty straightforward site. There's two options, is remove it or don't do anything, so.
Right.
Right.
It's an easy ABCA as far as ABCAs go, so we're not like capping or covering, or we don't have any other kind of those things, so. Environmentally wise, it's actually a pretty clean site. It's actually a pretty remarkably clean site. It's just the asbestos and the oil
Yep.
that we have to get rid of.
Gotcha.
So I think for the public's information, this is just a part of our effort. This is
Yes.
basically one of the first steps in our effort to
Yes.
hopefully redevelop some of these areas. So there will be a lot more coming from our committee, from the city, on after this happens and after whatever happens with the steam plant and hopefully perhaps the tanks, what comes next with redevelopment. So this isn't the one and only opportunity to have input. This is a very limited scope in this particular effort, and that is
Absolutely.
doing the cleanup of these particular buildings, so.
For example, as you're mentioning this, there was discussion about trying to retain one of the generators, one of the diesel generators in there, the one that was in the World War II submarine. There was
Yeah.
one generator in there that's got a history to it. might be like some historical, we have reached out to other power plants to try to see if they want some of those parts or pieces or, anything like that. Before, we don't want to be like, oh, I wish we had saved this part of history, or something like that. So this is while we're meeting, it's to talk about some of these things. We're not necessarily to that point yet about do you want to save a generator or not or anything like that. The redevelopment part of it, but
Will come later.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
There's time capsules there. The kids from the school put buried time capsules there.
Really?
That area.
I did not know
I
that.
didn't know that either, yeah.
Do you know where?
I do. Some of it was on the side of the riverside. Some of it was where the 2 water tanks are. Is it water tanks that are sitting there, the big tall tanks?
The ones that had the oil, the oil ones?
The oil
Yeah.
tanks.
Just beyond that on the hillside.
Was it for the school? The school did that?
Yes.
School children did
Yes,
that?
yes.
Okay. All
And
right.
it was probably 15 years ago, and a lot of them are still there.
Okay. With that,
Used to tour the buildings as students.
oh, yes.
They bus
You could eat off the floor. I remember. You could literally eat off the floor. It was spotless. It was
Yeah.
very meticulously maintained.
It was. My
Yeah.
dad was an
Yeah.
engineer
Yeah.
for Maine Public.
Yes.
So for 40-something years.
I do know you. Yeah.
You know,
Yes, yes, yes. So, it will, this is an excellent part of this is why we have this community. Like, I had no idea that there were time capsules there. That's it would be a wonderful thing to, not destroy that, not like dig it up, throw it away. I mean, there's no digging as part of this project, but it would be good to know.
And I know it might not be linked, and it might be, but my dad worked there for 40-something years. We lost him to lung cancer, and he never smoked a day of his life.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
That's why I have concerns.
There is friable asbestos,
Mhm.
the stuff that's easily released. Not in the diesel plant, not our part of the project.
Yeah.
But,
Steam plant.
the other
Steam
part is that they're gonna,
Right.
the big guys. are
That's
gonna
kind
be
of why I
careful.
need reinsurance.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
No, absolutely.
And it could have been
Absolutely.
the power lines. What's
Yeah.
in the power lines, I don't know.
Yeah,
But he
Yeah.
worked there for 40-something years, and
yeah,
he went way before he should have with lung
Right.
cancer and never smoked, or very healthy, never abused himself, you know what I mean?
yeah, if I can reassure you in any way, shape, or form that this project will be handled very, very carefully. So
Fair
that
enough.
you, your children, no one's gonna be exposed
Fair enough.
to, asbestos.
The boat landings still have public access to right now.
Yes,
Yep.
so
I use
that's
it, but
a
not
good,
much of a road.
that's a good point that you're bringing up. When demolition happens, we have to, I believe, maintain public access to that because of the dam. I believe that there has to be maintained public access. So so right now it's a narrow little road, right, going by the diesel plant, but we're gonna have to try to do something. We have to do something to maintain access to that public boat launch. You're talking about the one that's, not the one that's down with the circle, because.
No.
Yeah, the one
down
upstream,
Yeah,
on the other side.
upstream of the dam.
It has
Down
to
by
be
Sleepers,
maintained.
the next one, yeah.
It has to do with something, because the dam's right there, right?
Yeah.
So people have to be able to get their boat out, right?
The Federal Energy Regulatory Commission requires access for recreation
Yeah.
for all hydropower dams for their license. So
Yeah,
the owners of the dam have to maintain that access.
We use it, well, in early spring until the
Yeah.
water drops too much, but
Yes.
we probably go down 8-10 times anyway.
yeah. We will, like I said, it has to be maintained, so they're public, again, I know it's a tight little area right there, but we'll have to either do a temporary road or allow, keep that wall up while they're doing, we'll probably do the inside work first, and that might take some time, right, the inside work. So inside work, get all that stuff dismantled and whatnot, and keep that wall as long as we can. And then when it's time, maybe they have to do a temporary road on the side of it or something to make sure that there's access maintained. I think someone had mentioned even doing it up up the other way, right?
Well,
Or-
so in the discussions with the CERCLA action, because of that being a bigger footprint,
Yeah.
they were talking, well, Bill was there, they were talking all kinds of different ideas, but I don't know.
A road being where the tracks is.
I don't know, there were just a lot of things
that
being
what
tossed
you're
out
thinking?
there.
They're using it now.
Yeah.
I mean, right
Just
now it's a
getting
trail.
access.
Yeah.
it's
It's
just a
access
dirt-
for,
dirt road.
well, I'm talking right where the tracks are from my house. That's where it comes down the ramp from
Mhm.
Patton Street.
Patton Street, right
Yeah.
there.
Oh, no, we didn't discuss that.
No,
No.
we were between the steam plant and the boat launch. That's what we were
Oh,
talking
okay.
about, was
Only that
maintaining
area.
it.
I
That
was
was,
thinking
that was
all the way
it.
out.
No.
Okay.
No, just that.
That'd be nice. No.
No.
Okay.
Okay, so would you have any other input on the community outreach plan? If not, we're gonna set Michelle free.
Thank you.
I just want to say,
You made it through.
Of any of this? You guys have-
that this is going to all be maintained on the website as part of this brownfields cleanup. We do have to maintain that record. So this way it's available to everyone. And I just have to say, because Ted is on this Zoom, we would never be this far if it wasn't for Ted, because Ted Wolfert is the one from DEP that's like, you need to get a phase 1, you need to get a phase 2. And that's what we needed to apply for the brownfields grant. So thank you, Ted.
Not a problem, it's a whale.
Mm-hmm.
By their time.
It's a what?
Yeah.
A
Well,
Whale.
How do you need a whale?
Oh, yeah, gotcha. Okay. Next item on the agenda is to move into some old business, and I see it says here DOT draft letter, but I don't see that in our packet, so.
no, I didn't have it in
we
the
didn't have that
packet. I mean,
packet.
so where are we on that, I guess? That was-
It's, my memory was that after the last meeting is we were gonna send a letter to DOT, just, and I can't even remember exactly what we were gonna do, but I drafted something after that last meeting, and we were gonna talk about it, but we can wait if
Okay,
necessary.
we'll just move
That's
it.
related to the effort to have the railroad right-of-way use redesignated to a multi-use trail. And we're requesting that from the DOT, and we continue to work with them on that. So we will not take any action on that tonight. Sam?
Excuse me.
Yep.
On the old business on the minutes from the September 12th, it does have a top bullet on the Maine Northern Railroad about letters concerning the process. Ken recommended sending outreach letters to Northern Maine Railroad to nicely say, you know, buildings are being spent in southern Maine, blah, blah, blah. I think that may be what you're talking about, but I don't know. Correct me
Could
if
be.
I'm wrong.
I drafted it in September.
It's actually one step past that.
Is it?
We wanted to reach out and be good neighbors.
Right.
Yeah.
And say, you know, we'd like to work with you while we redevelop our front.
Yeah.
To stay in the conversation, because right now, they're pretty adamant that they want to retain their railroad forever.
I think it was
But
basically.
really, it amounts to a blight on the city of Fairview.
Yeah.
Was this part of the conversation we had about including limestone for Fairfield, like all joining forces?
Yes,
Is that what you're talking, is that what it was? Okay.
which we did originally.
Right.
And, yeah.
But they all have different leadership stakeholders kind of at play at this point, so it might be a good
I think it's changed over.
opportunity to,
Yep. We reach out. I'll find that letter. I drafted it, and I think I sent it to you and Karen.
I'm pretty sure you have,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I
That's
don't.
it. Okay.
including LDA, which was one of our,
Yep.
Jonathan Jenkins.
yeah.
So we also, do we have sample RFPs? Ken, I think you sent them
Yeah,
today.
he sent them,
I
yeah.
did forward a few that I've been looking at earlier. I sent them to the chair and to Penny and Karen. I don't have the computing power, printing power, so I didn't make copies or anything like that. The ones I did look at, as Mark had mentioned at another meeting just last night, that we've been kind of scouting out these pedestrian trail projects all over the state as we travel around. So I found the RFP from Waterville, which is on, I believe, on the third stage. They opened a project, they did a nice park, extended it. Now they're going to extend it again. This is an old industrial site, which they've made into a beautiful park. of access to the river, and the Penny Bridge, which is a pedestrian bridge across the side of the river to the gutter. Goes to Winslow to the mill site. The one in Belfast is actually adjacent to a functioning railroad bed. So that's kind of interesting in that might be a scenario that we need to look at. And the Gardner one is interesting in that they have use of the railroad bed, which is still maintained as the state wants to save it forever in case they ever need the railroad back. But that trail extends from Augusta down through Gardner and Caldwell, 2 or 3 towns right in a row. So that there's, easily 20 miles of trail. And it's well kept and well used. And you can actually walk down through the Augusta Trail and pop right up behind the Capitol building. Very nice.
It'd be nice though to have a really nice park down there, because you have a campground that you just put in. And that would kind of, you know what I mean?
Another one that we may want to look at, which I just thought about, is Bucksport, because they also have a trail right next to an active railroad.
We discussed Bucksport early on in our
Yeah,
conversation.
that's the one I was familiar with. Yeah. But so were those RFPs, and frankly, Ken, I apologize, I didn't get a chance to look at them today, are for
A master plan.
to do a master plan,
Yep.
which is what we're, okay, yep. Yeah,
So,
for
but
seeking to come,
maybe the conversation should be a conversation with those landowners that we may have grant money to go buy property, so we have a foothold on the riverfront.
yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe the master plan doesn't come first, I don't know that,
Oh, I think there's parallel paths here.
right?
Yeah.
I keep getting kids, I need to go bigger.
Okay, so we don't have anything to go further with that tonight. We'll put that on our next agenda
Yeah,
perhaps.
and Karen has some updates on that.
Oh, she does? Okay.
Yeah, so, I mean, when we get down to like staff.
Okay, well, that's where we are. So, staff reports. Progress update on the EPA brownfields. Cleanup of diesel plant. Do we
Well, our
have?
big update is we had our public meeting today.
Check
We're
that
working
one.
on community outreach plan.
So we are making progress.
Yeah.
That's the headline.
Yeah,
That's step one.
Yeah.
Who guess?
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So Jim, I see you're unmuted. Did you want to share something?
Sure, I think this has been a great meeting. EPA is looking forward to working with you all on this important cleanup project, and as I think you heard from the people that are involved in this, we're going to do everything to make sure that this is the safest, most efficient project you guys have ever seen.
Yeah.
There we go.
Thank you. The circular action regarding the steam plant, that's referencing the EPA action on cleaning up that particular facility, which we are not particularly involved with. Is that correct?
I mean, not right now. Jim can probably give you an update, I hope, on that. too.
Okay.
Sure, yes, I can certainly chime in on this. Zach was unable to make it. He's our on-site coordinator who will be leading the cleanup action on the site. They are still formulating plans on how to, for lack of a better term, attack this site and clean it up. They're authorized to spend up to $2 million on this, which should get a good portion of the job done. They're initially probably going to focus on getting rid of the friable stuff, the really dangerous stuff, things in containers and all that other kind of stuff first. And then with what's left over, they will certainly consider what they can do to either contain, stabilize, or demolish the building. Again, they're still in consultation with our management team in the region and our folks at EPA headquarters down in Washington as to what the final determination is going to be.
Okay. Good, thank you.
Just keep this in mind, if you bought my house, you could have the activity of bungee jumping off the bridge.
I've always said a zip line from the bridge to the stack of the steam plant was a good one, yeah.
Sign me up for that.
Okay, the NBRC grant project.
Okay, so Karen, do you want to give the update on NBRC?
Yeah.
Hi, Karen.
Sure.
Hi, Karen.
Hi everybody. I don't have great lighting here, but anyway, okay, so before we can do anything with our, we were granted a certain amount of money to do our Riverfront project. We need to comply with the NEPA environmental requirements. And in order to do that, we need funding to pay for our environmental consultant to go in there and do their required environmental assessment. They have a template. The contractor, who's Michelle, will fill that all out. But we need, before we can do any work on this site as a city, even, some of the things that we're doing right now, we really cannot charge our match or have our consultant do any work until we receive a what's called a partial notice to proceed, which we are going back and forth with them. It's called partial PMTP. All right, and they had asked us for some more details. We sent them back. We tried to the point of the master plan. Master plans are categorically planning activities are excluded from NEPA requirements. So we asked them, can we go ahead and start our plan because it's not going to involve any impact on the environment. And so they did get back to us and say, well, until NEPA's done, you can only do 30, we can only give you permission to do 30% of the plan. Well, in-house, we talked about that among the staff, and we said we really cannot hire or even put out an RFP for a planner when we only know that we have 30% of the plan.
No.
Right? So we have to ask them to take that out. We tried to go ahead with the master plan, but we're not going to be able to. So we need to get the NEPA review out of the way, and then we can proceed to do the rest of the project.
Okay.
We did request a phase 1 from DEP, which apparently, that has been done, but we haven't received the report yet. And that'll be integral into the NEPA process. That can be incorporated into our NEPA.
Tell me again what NEPA stands for.
Pardon?
What does it stand for, NEPA?
Oh, National Environmental Policy Act, I'm sorry. So there's certain, before the federal government is going to spend any money, they want to know that environmental reviews have been done and taken, anything that's detrimental to the site environmentally can be taken care of. And that's what we're asking the money for.
How much are we talking?
We don't know, I think what did we set aside, Michelle, for the,
50,000?
50,000.
Yeah.
And that's our match, or that's what that's the total?
That's the total, and that's very high estimate.
Okay.
Yeah.
And we're just checking environmentally for what, Michelle?
I'm sorry?
We're looking at the same sorts of things, oils and...
The draft and...
Yeah, if you could, that would just be easier for Andrew.
Thought you were done, didn't
We'll let you sit down for a minute or two.
So the draft environmental assessment, it looks at things like what's the impact that's going to happen with the proposed work. So it's like noise. It's like, are you going to somehow damage archaeology, like sensitive areas that might have importance, for cultural resources, and talks about, sound and noise and the surrounding area, the neighborhood. A lot of that is just making sure that you're not creating any issues by doing the work that you're proposing to do for along the riverfront, which you're not. Everything's gonna be fine. But we have to send letters to these historical people and these, just requesting. They do it's a lot of it's on paper, but it's just making sure that you're dotting your I's and crossing your T's, right? Just making sure that we're not gonna damage something that we can't go back to. And it's also, it's a lot like the ABCA in which it evaluates your alternatives, the do nothing or do what we're proposing to do to clean up this area. So what, if we do nothing, it's gonna stay the same and, you know, the noise or whatever, and so.
Jan has a question.
Yeah, sure.
Where is the site that you're doing the NEPA for? Is it just for the area you're doing now for your brownfield?
Can I disclose these things?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, okay,
Yeah,
it's the,
Area you wanna go.
so you know where, I can disclose all, okay.
Yeah.
So you know where Terry Long Pair used to be?
Okay.
It's the
In-
train.
Those properties that-
Yeah,
Yes.
and there used to be a starch plant,
Yeah.
that starch plant with that, right where the,
The end of Water Street.
the end of Water Street,
Yeah,
end of Water Street right
Okay,
there.
I was just trying to make sure that
Yeah,
that it didn't overlap with the areas, because it didn't make sense to me that you're doing NEPA on the area you're doing brownfield.
yeah, no, this is,
Different.
we're downstream, we're
So we're
further
looking at NEPA on
downstream.
the areas we're looking at purchasing.
Yes.
As part of our.
Although, do you want, is the NEPA, do you want it to go all the way over to the power plant? I mean, there is that option, that's a really big site, it'd be a big stretch of site.
No.
No, Karen, just those,
For the purpose-
Water Street.
Yeah. For the purposes of the Northern Border Regional Commission project, really, we propose to purchase the railroad station and to purchase the starch plant. And before they want, and then, you know, turn the starch plant, demolish it, turn it into, you know, open space and beyond. And the train station to renovate and develop into whatever the master plan determines, the community, aka the community determines to use it. But Northern Border Regional Commission wants us to evaluate the environmental impact of renovating the train station and taking down the starch plant. That's basically what this review is about.
Right.
So this 50,000 potentially is what we need to do in order to access the grant money that's already been
Well,
granted.
it's included in the grant money, correct?
Yeah.
We just need the paperwork to be done to allow us to go and do
I am
it.
the paper pusher, that's my
Okay.
job, is to
Yeah.
write all these things down and push it out so that, yeah,
Yep.
that's all it is.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And they say it could take like 6 months to do. It's not. It could, if you could sit down and probably do it easy peasy in a month. Like a lot of it's just sending out the letters for requesting that, you know, the people who know these things, like historical
people.
things, so.
We get them at the tribe a lot, it's, you know, for easements and things like
Right.
that, so
I
yeah.
mean, there are some, especially along riverbanks and
Yeah.
stuff with like rocks.
Well, the
that-
Chan site
yeah.
in the 80s was huge for the
Yeah.
tribe, so yeah.
So there's a lot.
So I'm for it.
Yeah, making sure that you're protecting, you know, something that we can't go back on and be like, oh, oops.
Right.
Like there was,
They're protecting their investment. They don't want to give us the entire grant until
If
the
something
legal
is,
review
right.
has gone through. So that's why they're calling it a partial notice to proceed. They're gonna give us enough money to perform the
Right.
environmental review.
Got you, okay.
They're
Right.
gonna evaluate if they wanna give us the rest of the money.
Okay, I'm up to speed, I
Right.
get it.
Yep.
I have a question.
Sure.
And, like the bridge work that they did, if I had questions about that, would that be state or would that be discussing it with the city council here tonight or? Because I have some great concerns there.
I'm assuming that's the main DOT, correct? And I
The
think
state.
Penny said she has some,
Even if it's about the land behind my house too?
yeah,
because we're
if it's a,
having-
well,
If it's part,
if it's part of
I'm
that
just
bridge,
wondering.
that's the main DOT, Department of Transportation. It's
Okay.
not the city, Public Works, doing any of that. I'm assuming, I'm speaking for Penny, I shouldn't do that, but I don't believe Caribou City Public Works is doing any of
So
that.
I would have to go about contacting DOT then?
Yeah.
That's in Caribou, DOT in Caribou.
Presque Isle.
Presque Isle, I would go Presque Isle,
Presque Isle.
yeah.
Because you must have seen all the rocks they dumped there, right behind that house they tore down, right next door to me.
I did.
No.
You did? You know how it comes out?
Yeah, I used to
They
live on that
created
hill.
a boogie eddy, and I've lost 3 feet of land since they've done that. So I'm gonna have no land left. Pretty soon I'm gonna own the river. So, and I wasn't sure if that's something that I would address here,
No, that's the DOT.
I believe I heard their concern is the scouring of the around the foundations of the bridge piers.
I realize
Yeah.
that, but, and then again, there's a lot of issues there because when they went from dirt to, using, what's that called?
Reclaim?
Riprap.
Roads.
Riprap.
No, on the roads,
Right.
Bob, on the bridge, instead of, when they plow, instead of using dirt to save
Oh.
them, they're using,
Salt.
what's that called? Calcium. It's all coming down on my house, it's destroying my siding.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's a lot of issues going on, I wasn't sure who,
Yeah.
but I've had so much going on.
DOT and Frisco.
So Ted, I see that you are unmuted. Did you have something to say, Ted?
I have a question, and I'm not sure if it should be directed to Karen or Michelle. I keep hearing the words environmental review associated with the starch plant and train station. Yes, we've done a phase 1 for both those. They've both been approved. Are we, these environmental reviews, are we talking, conducting phase 2s on the site? Is that what we're requesting?
No, it's, the NEPA has this draft environmental assessment template. I'll send it to you, Ted. It's,
Okay.
yeah, it's actually surprisingly not as environmental as you and I are used to for like petroleum hazardous substances. It's more of like,
Cultural.
yeah, cultural, historical, noise, that kind of stuff, exactly.
Putting the
Yeah.
project harmoniously into the environment.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah, it's not.
It's a record search.
It's very, yes, like, I don't even think they say anything about petroleum products or hazardous substances or anything like that. It's, yeah.
So I also heard that the city is thinking about purchasing these 2 properties.
Correct.
Correct.
Yes.
The phase 1s, actually one of them is on your desk, Penny. I'm waiting to see if you have any comments. That has to do with the train station. But there is recommendations to do phase 2s. That is something that, I'm probably jumping the gun and going a different direction with this meeting, but that is something that the department can most likely help the town with.
They
That's
can-
where they need to go.
they can be done
prior to
concurrently.
purchase.
Okay. No, that's good. I'll get in touch with you about that. When did you send the phase 1?
Might have been last week.
Oh,
I forgot to send you the one for the starch plant.
Okay.
That's been approved. It's just the train station.
okay.
Ooh, we like approved. Okay.
I'll look
Anything-
for that because I don't remember seeing it, so I'll dig and see.
I can resend it.
Yeah.
I can.
Anything else on the NBRC project? I think that gets us up to speed.
Thanks, Karen.
Thank you, Karen.
Thank you,
Okay, and we get these, we have a lot of acronyms here. The DOT, I think that's Village
Partnership
Initiative.
You got it.
I would have guessed that, so, yeah. And that's related to what we're doing because it ties the downtown to Water Street to the riverfront, correct?
Correct.
Yep, okay.
Exactly. Right, so the Department of Transportation Village Partnership Initiative, that is, that we have our WIN number from the state. They're planning a kickoff for the end of February, which I just learned that today. I don't
A
have a date.
kickoff for the,
The DOT VPI.
What is
Yeah.
it, what is a kickoff? What's
I
that
saw
refer-
the thing we sat and reviewed the.
Yes, yeah.
Yes.
So.
Buried the lead there.
Yeah. So, because again, it's all about community, participation. We want to make sure that the community knows what we're doing, has input, what they want to see in any kind of transportation changes in Caribou. So, all of these things fit together, and I know it, and it all fits together in the Riverfront group because the DOT, the Village Partnership Initiative is trying to drive some of the pedestrian traffic from the center of town around the Mill Pond, which we have our congressionally directed spending request to fix up that whole area. And then the VPI, we're hoping, is going to give us good strategies to get the pedestrians down to Water Street, where the city will have an anchor, and then we'll have a master plan for economic development along the river. So it seems like when you look at an agenda like this, and we're starting with, you know, brownfields and cleaning up the power plant, and then we get all the way to a transportation plan to reduce miles driven, do traffic calming, and get people to walk more, get into the downtown, get down to the riverfront, around the mill pond, but it's all connected. And it may seem like it's, why are they talking about all these different things? But it's just all part of the vision for Caribou going forward, and the funding that's available for these priorities that the council has already set. And fortunately for us, there's funding available for rural communities in northern Maine, to make these changes to increase healthy outcomes, economic development outcomes. And since our council, who has been thinking about this, and our Riverfront Committee, which has been working on this, because of that, and we're able to take advantage of these funding programs that are available. Yeah.
You mentioned the kickoff is at the end of February. Is that something just for you and you and the engineer, or?
No, I think, yeah, it'll be a public meeting. I'm hoping that we'd be able to do it in connection with a council meeting or something, so that we can get better participation. Yeah. Yeah, so, yeah.
There is a lot happening.
A lot happening, and a lot of it is...
It's exciting to get the funding, but with the funding comes strings.
I was on 3 different webinars today about grant things.
Yeah.
And a lot of it is about reporting.
Yeah.
And all of them, and this is so that Michelle and I can talk about our quarterly report for the brownfields. I mean, yes, I brought that with me. I got your email today. I didn't respond, but I brought it.
No worries.
Yeah, so all of these activities, there's a lot of reporting that goes on with all of this. Like Michelle was mentioning, you have not only the environmental review, you have the Davis-Bacon wage, and me as the person who is like the program and grant administrator for the town, and who has to sign all these reports, that's why I have to listen to all of these webinars about reporting. And same thing like our congressionally directed spending requests, which we have 3 of those actually. Well, 2. 1, if they ever pass the budget, we will have 3, but 2 that we have now, but we haven't seen any money for.
What's the second one? Mill Pond, but what's?
The police station.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And then the 3rd one is improvements to the fire station. Yeah. And again, these are all priorities that have been put out by our city council. And so we look at the priorities that have been set for the community, and then try to match up available grant funding for that. So
awesome. Well, thank you for the hard work, for sure.
Well, Karen does the heavy lifting. This is how it goes. Karen and I talk on the phone about what needs to happen. Karen gets it all in a nice email. I copy and paste that into whatever it is I have to send.
Can I have a Karen?
Yes, you can. Because I couldn't do any of that, you know, because I say, oh, well, what are we going to do about this? And Karen will synthesize all of that for me, and I can just copy and paste. So,
I do have a Karen.
It's all good. It's all good.
Yeah.
It is. I mean, though, we've talked about it briefly. We mentioned this master plan. That this, for me anyhow, this committee has really found as a kind of a focal point, because what it will helpfully do is lay out this plan for this riverfront district going forward. So when grant funds, for example, become available, you discover, you say, ooh, this land opportunity fits this idea that we had 5-10 years ago let's go grab it and put another piece of the puzzle in. Right now, we're trying to kind of we're putting pieces of the puzzle in, we don't really have the puzzle yet, and we're trying to make it all fit, but I think it's all gonna fit.
We don't have the picture yet.
We don't have the picture yet, but we have all the pieces, and we don't wanna lose them, because they're all keys, so it's a little bit awkward, but it's all gonna come together, and it's pretty exciting, it really is. A lot of
Having the
stuff
master
happening.
plan work with the comprehensive plan, which the planning board,
Right.
spearheading that, but working with other committees. And then with the transportation, the Village Partnership Initiative, we get some synergy with those plans. And like Dave Corvo said at the meeting that some of us were at last night, with when we had a lot of committees together talking about projects that are going on and how the groups can really help each other for these things to work together. With what the planning board is doing with the comprehensive plan, that's so critical to looking for grants. And same thing, this Riverfront Master Plan is going to be key for that. The Village Partnership Initiative, although I was on a webinar like a couple weeks ago that says that the raise grants that we were hoping for with the VPI maybe aren't so plentiful now, but we'll find other avenues.
What's a?
It's a
Raising buildings?
Everything's an acronym, so raise stands for something else.
I was thinking, I was hoping demolition, but.
Yeah, no, not that kind of raise. It's
No.
It's an acronym, and that's what some of these projects have been funded with. But,
Yeah, good.
we'll make it happen.
Yeah.
We have perspection.
I'm entirely
We have to
confident.
visualize this Caribou of the future, and we have to pre-experience what it's going to be, and that's going to motivate us to keep
I learned about,
working.
in your little speech, I learned about 6 new words last night.
Good.
So our next meeting, let's hopefully not be 5 months apart or whatever we've been. We had, I think it was the third Tuesday we were shooting for. Is that what it was? So we should probably try to get back to the third Tuesday of the month, if possible.
That would be February 20th.
Yeah, so that's school break.
Oh, boy, okay.
And a lot of tournament, hopefully.
Oh, there is
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So I can't do the 13th because that's airport, because I can't have 2 committee meetings on one night. Like I can, they need to be one a night, it's okay, but I can't do 2, so.
Yeah. My schedule's pretty open. I can do
27th is
Let's
fine.
do the 27th.
February 27th?
Yeah.
Yeah.
At 6.
Yep.
Okay. Great.
Okay.
Should we all, if we have any comments on the
Draft ABCA, there's
These
30
drafts,
days for that.
30 days.
30
Okay.
days.
And if you have any comments on the community outreach plan, there's still opportunity to do that too, right? Okay.
Things can be, they can continually be.
Okay.
Yeah.
Up to a point.
But
Yep.
I will get in touch with the Yukon
Yes.
and talk about the fact, and Karen, and look at some fact sheets and stuff. That would be a good next step.
With that, the chair would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Moved.
I'll second.
Seconded, all in favor. Thank you, folks.
Thank you, Mark.
Thank you. 7:18.
That's a record.
I know.
You guys are doing a great job. Good work.
Thank you.
Thank you for.
Ted, you started everything with making me make sure I got those phase 1, phase 2s.
Have a good meeting all.
We did what we were supposed to do. We shut it to the licensed
Yeah, Renaissance Rise did like some fair or something, like people dressed up.
I remember
Did the
voting
right
on
thing.
Kenny.
Yeah.
Did we
Exactly
change
what they
the
were
name
supposed to
from
do.
Renaissance to redevelopment?
Yes.
Really handle that.
The council has changed.
So I haven't
big lawsuit
lost my
taking
mind.
on-
Oh, yeah, no,
They
I'm
don't
just using
like
old
that.
things,
Yeah.
popping in new stuff.
Oh, this is
It's
redevelopment.
redevelopment. If you wait just a second, I'm gonna go upstairs, I just gotta turn this stuff off.
Sure.